Hello, Bob Georgiou, Remax Cord, coming to you with another rolling real estate report for the week of Tuesday, August 17, 2021. Thanks for coming by. So nothing significant to report on this week's real estate news. The market is still pegged super hot and still strong seller's market. We are seeing a little neutralization in the Pleasant Hill townhouse and Concord townhouse markets, as well as the high-end Danville market approaching $2 million plus. The remaining part of the market is still being driven by low interest rates and low inventory, and market conditions should remain the same going into the fourth quarter. Said that last week, said a week before. At this point, nothing's changes. Even though we are seeing a lot of real estate news to the contrary. So in local news, a house hit the market in Diablo Shadow at the bargain price of $850,000. House was a burnt out shell. House was in studs. You could see through into the home in places. No siding, charred wood in places, but the structure is still sitting. Neighbor who lives nearby told me that the house is in contract for $925,000, and a lot of you are scratching your heads right now, going, "What is with your market? $925,000 for a burnt hulk of a house?" Well, let me tell you, Diablo Shadow is one part of what we call the Northgate area here in Walnut Creek, one of the more desirable areas. Built as a bunch of tract home in this, from the 60s through the 80s, with super premium homes in the $2, $3, $4 million range on the periphery. So the neighborhood is desirable. I don't even think you could get into that neighborhood anymore for less than $1 million, unless it's a small entry-level condo, and that's not typically what people think about when we think of the Northgate Walnut Creek. Diablo Shadow, in that little pocket alone, has high comparable sales of $2.2 million, $2.3 million for mid-2,000 square foot quarter acre or so flat lots, and this situation certainly checks all those boxes. So if he's got a margin from 925 to 2.2, 2.3, so say that's, I don't know, what is that, $1,300,000. If he keeps his budget to about $450,000 to $500,000 on the rebuild, he's got no risk at all in the process. Now, that would be a modest rebuild for a house of this size in California at today's prices, but it's enough. You know, it's enough to get the job done. So whoever the investor is will have a total of about $1.3, $1.4 million all in, with a potential return of $1 million, and that's that makes the numbers work. And so that's a good payday. We'll see where they end up. I figure this house, if it's going to be flipped, will be back on the market, and probably around the second quarter of 2022. So if that's what the case is, we will revisit this discussion with the property as he rebuilt it, and all the amenities and all the information that I can give you at that time, and we'll see how that project finally pencils compared to the pro forma, the way I just listed it out. In other news, government takes a tracking survey of a consumer sentiment in real estate, and read a report that the millennials are the most negative on this market. Think about that. That makes a lot of sense. They were raised in the in their formative years about financial things were in the Great Recession and the real estate housing collapse. So it seems to make sense that their opinions of real estate value are a little bit more extreme than people my age or older, and that's affecting the market. They're one piece of many pieces that have reduced the number of multiple offers on every property they come out. Makes it a little bit easier for sellers who are thinking about coming on the market to put their homes on the market, because they will have to rebuy elsewhere, and not having to fight 23 other buyers to get one property certainly makes that a little bit more palatable when planning. And so we're seeing it in the numbers. While I don't expect this market to change in the short term, there are certainly storm clouds on the horizon. We're seeing increased inventory in buyers markets and pockets in other areas of the country, not even necessarily within California. I have not read any reports that say anywhere that California is on the decline. Nothing's going to change in the short term. Don't expect that to change until, like I say, election cycle next year, and where the powers that be will allow things to correct themselves, possibly, and we'll see where we're at. Of course, assumptions being made: low inventory, continued low interest rates, as well as improving economy coming out of COVID. So there's that. And it's been my opinion that we've been inflating a bubble for about 4 years now. And I tell people when they're buying a house, if you're buying for the long term, 10 years, don't worry about it. 10 years from now, if the market cracks next year, the market's going to be on the upswing 10 years from now. And you just got to make sure that you don't compromise on what you're buying, and make sure that it's a house that you're happy with, so that when you actually move into it, that you're going to be happy with your purchase, and you're not going to be checking the real estate section for your value every month, trying to figure out a way to get out of a purchase you really didn't want to make. Now, this is not to imply that everybody is getting everything they want. That just does not happen in this market. Has not happened in this market for about 5 years, as much as people try. Client who bought a home about 5 years ago paid what I thought was top dollar at the time. Now they're at 810 in Pleasant Hill. That house is now worth $1 million, $1.2 million. Hey, who knew, right? But one of the things that they taught me was this clever little line: you can have anything you want, you just cannot have everything you want. And that certainly applies to real estate. If you're a buyer in this really tight market anywhere on the peninsula, South Bay, Contra, Costa, North Bay, if you set a good priorities, decide what's most important to you, and you focus on those things, the rest will sort of fall in line, because your income will either increase to where you'll be able to make the house those other things further on down the list, make it your own, or something will change in your situation where you'll be looking to relocate out of the area, a different area. 1,000 different ways this can happen. I've seen it any number of ways over 20 years of real estate. So, the point being is that, we're living in some of the best real estate in the country, if not the whole world. So, in the time I've seen the interest rates, the trend for interest rates for the last 5 years has been in one direction, down. The inventory has gone up and down in that time, and so the prices have reflected those increases and decreases in inventory. And we've seen those corrections when both has happened, when there's been inventory sitting around and the interest rates have spiked a little bit. So in those peaks and valleys, we've seen inventory increase, interest rates fluctuate against the buyers, and those little situations have created small windows where there have been little depressions in the market, especially on the fringes. Where's my opinion on the thing? My crystal ball has been broken at this time, because forces outside the real estate market are having an impact on what's going on in this market. And even though the sentiment and the fundamentals may be A, B, C, and D, the outside forces are in the meantime, thanks for taking the time to check out the video. I'll be back next week with another one. Like, share, subscribe. If you're thinking about a move, give me a phone call. Bob Georgiou, Remax Accord, 980-3248. Otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you out in escrow. Have a great week.